which groups are you going to be meeting with? You mentioned you were going to be meeting with faith groups. Who are you going to be meeting with, and what arguments are you going to be making to them?
First of all, we haven't established a list of the complete number of meetings. There's a number of faith leaders who've reached out who would like to have an opportunity to share their points of view. We were going to get through the House sitting and then determine specifically who we'll be meeting with, when we'll be meeting with them. To the second part of your question, I just don't want to frame this around the idea that there's going to be arguments, but sharing one another's perspectives. I've got a sincerely held view that the very real concerns that people have raised in the context of C9 are addressed with the laws that are in place. To the extent that we can ensure that we're operating on a common perception of what in fact the proposed block amendment would potentially do, and communicate that we are going to ardently defend religious freedoms in this country. That's a fundamental part of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. When I look at the history of this provision that's the subject of the block amendment, this has been in place for many years, even before the protections of the Charter came into effect. To the extent we can demonstrate that we will resolutely defend religious freedoms in this country as we seek to advance a bill who, at its very core, is about protecting rights and protecting communities against hate, and communicating that, in fact, the initial motivation for this bill was based on the idea that communities of faith should be able to practice their faith freely in communities. Hopefully we can come to a common understanding of a shared outcome that we want to see, which is that everyone in this country should be free to practice the religion of their choice.
So if it's never been used, why do you think it's blown up so much? Why is it such a big political issue if it's never been used in a single case?
Well, the perception that I'm hearing from people who have sincerely held concerns is that they fear that there may be people that are seeking to target them. My perspective is that there are laws, the supreme law of this country, the Constitution, defends beyond a shadow of a doubt the idea of people to freely practice their religions. We will defend that ability in our communities, in our courts, and in our laws. Again, if we had proposals that were seeking to erode religious freedoms, that would be antithetical to the actual purpose of the bill that we're putting forward to combat hate in this country. So we're going to have meaningful conversations with a number of faith leaders, others who may express support or concerns, to understand whether we can actually move forward in a way that respects everyone's ability to practice their faith freely.
So, Monsieur Fraser, le parti et le gouvernement a déposé plusieurs projets de loi. On n'a fait adopter aucun cet automne. Qu'est-ce qui se passe?
Alors maintenant, pour moi, j'ai déposé 3 projets de loi dans cette session. Et il est normal pour les projets de loi de prendre quelques mois pour la Chambre des communes d'adopter. Et après ce processus, il est essentiel pour le comité d'approuver le projet de loi et le Sénat aussi. Normalement, c'est possible pour un projet de loi de prendre 1 an, 2 ans pour terminer les processus parlementaires.
Donc, vous n'avez pas l'impression que ça bloque?
Répétez?
Vous n'avez pas l'impression que ça bloque?
Oh, OK. Pas le parti. OK. Le bloc. Oui, non, je comprends. Je comprends. Oui, c'est ma français. Mais maintenant, c'est juste un projet de loi qui a les difficultés à le comité maintenant. Alors, c'est normal dans le Parlement minoritaire. Il est essentiel pour collaborer avec des autres partis, mais quand j'ai des conversations avec des députés dans le Parti conservateur, le Bloc, le NPD, Mme May, je pense que c'est possible pour identifier une majorité de la Chambre des communes pour C16, par exemple, pour C14, par exemple. Quand j'ai reçu des questions jour après jour dans le système de mise en liberté, j'ai oublié, mise sous caution? Oui, je suis désolé, c'est difficile pour moi. Mais c'est une priorité pour quelques partis dans la Chambre des communes. Si les partis posent des questions, demandent des changements, et quand j'ai avancé à ces changements, j'expectais le parti à soutenir des projets de loi. Il y a des travaux dans les mois, dans la prochaine année, certainement, mais j'ai beaucoup de confiance. Nous avons l'habilité, pas juste le Parti libéral, mais les parlements en général, pour adopter des politiques qui les Canadiens demandent. C'est OK?
Merci.
OK. Excellent.
Merci, M. Fraser.
Merci tout le monde.
Joyeux Noël, si on s'en va pas.
Are you going to fire Marie Chapman from the Immigration Museum?
I found out about this report, which is alarming, 2 days ago. As you know, the ministers are not in the position of firing museum heads, but there is a governance process. Ms. Chapman's official term ended at the end of October, if I'm recalling properly, and has been extended provisionally for about 90 days. But what I do expect is the board to review this report seriously and take the appropriate action.
Ms. Chapman admitted in that report, when she responded to it, that she did call a senior leadership team sluts. She's facing mistreatment allegations over the span of a decade, to the point where some told the Integrity Commissioner they contemplated self-harm. What is your reaction to that, and should she be reappointed in that role?
Well, it's entirely unacceptable. And again, if any of these allegations are true, I would expect the board to do its job.
This is not the first case where national museums in recent years have been facing allegations, and people are telling us that they have accountability concerns. The Integrity Commissioner herself said that there are this damage or has a serious risk to the government's credibility and as well as the museums. What are you going to do about the accountability issues? And
Absolutely.
Is there a gap there?
Look, I think in terms of accountability, you have two processes. You have the Ethics Commissioner, which is not the first instance that people turn to, and is usually something that people turn to when things like these have occurred. There is a board that is elected and is expected to exercise a robust government's role on the CEO, and we would expect it to do it in this case. When you talk about museums and the role of the government in controlling museum heads or even content, it's a very, very slippery slope. So I do have my opinions. I think if anything in that report is indeed accurate, it certainly grounds for the board to take action and to make sure that the CEO is
Can I ask, just taking a look to next year, just for a year-end piece, do you have any objectives or goals? What are you expecting around here in 2025?
Or else I'll get in trouble. It's been a week, so I don't want to be late.
This is a GIC. Can you just clarify? This is a GIC appointment. I missed the beginning of what you said. This is a GIC. This is an accountability.
You're already getting me in trouble.
This is a GIC.
You don't want two heritage ministers in a week to be fired.
Monsieur McKinnon, ça va bien?
The session in review, what was the highlight for you in the last, since the election?
Well, we've tabled a plan to build a strong economy, whether you go back to the spring and think about C5 and the real momentum that we've found attracting investment to Canada, getting big things done for Canadians, creating jobs, creating opportunity. And then that was coupled with our budget plan that that the Minister of Finance tabled this fall, which contains any number of things that are focused squarely on making Canada's economy stronger.
A lot of these things, though.
This fall, that budget bill?
Well, we got it to, yesterday. The bill went to committee, and we'll look forward to those deliberations.
And just on that point, though, we are talking a lot about bills that haven't passed. How can you call this a productive session?
Monsieur Rodriguez, vous avez dit que vous aviez confiance en lui pour gérer la crise. Est-ce que c'est encore le cas aujourd'hui?
Moi, je pense que M. Rodriguez est une personne intègre.
So I'm just asking about all these bills that you've mentioned. A lot of them have not passed that. How are you calling this a productive session when you still have a number of bills that have not passed?
It's been an incredibly productive session. We've tabled major pieces of crime legislation to deal with things like extortion, child pornography, intimate partner violence. It's been a massively successful introduction of crime legislation. As I talked about our economic plan, that is moving forward. We've cut taxes for Canadians. We've made life more affordable. I think the country's moved a long way since the election.
So you would still call it successful even though legislation has not passed and reached Royal Senate?
I would add that we're hopefully going to pass our border bill today, C-12, which contains significant issues to deal with issues at the border and with immigration. So these are big changes, and I don't think anyone should discount them.
Est-ce qu'on vous a assuré qu'il n'y a personne dans votre caucus qui est impliqué dans l'enquête de l'UPAC sur la campagne de M. Rodriguez?
Je n'ai aucune connaissance de ça.
Are you reconsidering giving NDP official party status to help move some of this
Well, I
forward?
want to correct something. We don't grant or not grant.
But they want you to
official-
change the law to lower the threshold. Would you guys be down to do that?
Well, that's going to require unanimous consent.
What about
But the
this VIA
change in the-
story? What about this VIA story? Passengers trapped in
Yeah.
a train? What do you mean to that?
Well, I'm worried about that. Obviously, Via Rail has had incidents like this in the past, and we have directed that they get much better at issues that may arise on a line. We understand, you know, as a public transporter, there are going to be issues. It's a Canadian winter and things happen. However, when these things do happen, the response is critical, and we want Via Rail to be to continue to improve on that.
La dernière fois, vous avez parlé.
En français, par rapport à Via Rail, est-ce que c'est acceptable que les passagers soient coincés comme ça pendant 10 heures?
Bien, on a un transporteur public. C'est l'hiver au Canada. Il y a des choses qui vont arriver dans les transports publics, comme les avions, les trains. Nous voulons et nous cherchons à constamment améliorer la réponse de Via Rail. J'ai une pensée pour les passagers qui sont pris. Évidemment, nous voulons remédier à la situation aussi vite que possible.
À quand remonte la dernière fois où vous avez parlé à M. El-Khoury?
Monsieur El-Khoury, je le vois tous les jours.
Tous les
ici.
jours?
Oui.
Parce qu'il ne répond pas beaucoup aux médias ces temps-ci. Et si jamais vous découvriez qu'il est impliqué dans l'enquête...
Ce n'est pas clair pour moi. Je n'ai aucune connaissance de ce. J'ai beaucoup de boulot ici, donc je ne suis pas les va et les viens de la couverture.
Sur la session, vous avez déposé beaucoup de projets de loi, vous avez rien adopté. Qu'est-ce qui se passe?
Ben, c'est pas vrai qu'on n'a rien adopté. On a adopté C4, on a adopté on a envoyé C15 en comité. On va probablement adopter la loi sur la frontière. On a adopté C5. On a adopté des projets de loi transformateurs pour l'économie canadienne, pour le crime, et nous allons continuer de travailler dans un Parlement minoritaire, de surmonter à l'obstruction. On voit de l'obstruction beaucoup, et faire en sorte que nos projets de loi deviennent la loi.
Avec ces notes, avec l'exemption religieuse, là,
oui.
Là, il y a une autre réunion, une autre séance qui a été cancellée.
Oui, moi, honnêtement, j'ai très peu de patience pour des gens qui disent qu'on essaie d'interdire la religion au Canada. Là,
Madame May,
franchement, c'est absolument ridicule.
C'est absurde.
C'est très absurde. Oui.
Madame May et M. Davies accusent votre gouvernement de faire fi des institutions démocratiques, d'agir en bulldozer avec le Parlement, d'être pire même que Stephen Harper à certains égards. Qu'est-ce que vous leur répondez?
Bien, j'ai une question qui dit qu'on ne fait pas bouger des projets de loi, puis un autre qui dit qu'on agit en bulldozer. Je pense que ce sont deux extrêmes. Je pense qu'on a trouvé le juste milieu. On travaille avec le Parlement, les ministres travaillent avec les oppositions, et on fait en sorte que nos projets de loi avancent.
Is the House rising today?
We'll see.
What's your constituents think about the idea of public servants being sent back to work 5 days a week? You know,
I don't know that any announcement's been made on that.
Are you picking up anxieties about that, though, from people in your riding?
Well, I know public servants are hard at work. They're looking around at what may be best practices in the private sector and other provinces. And I know that they'll want to do what's right for the public service.
Cherchez-vous une majorité pour faire passer vos projets de loi publics?
Non, on cherche à faire fonctionner le Parlement.
Pensez-vous qu'il y aura une élection en 2026?
Je ne sais pas.
Est-ce qu'il y aura un remaniement?
Je ne sais pas non plus. C'est pas moi qui décide de ces choses-là.
How stable do you think this minority is? Let me ask it another one. You've been around a lot of minority parliaments. Give me your sense of, is it A for stability or D for stability? Where would you rank this one?
I enjoy spending time with Andrew Scheer and with Madame Normandin, and for my part, it's been pretty stable. Yeah.
Just on that, the NDP talking about changing the Parliament of Canada Act so the threshold for official party status is lower. You guys could propose legislation. Would you do that? They seem to be calling on you to do that.
Yeah, well, look, that law is like anything. Any amendments to the Parliament of Canada Act would have to be, I think, a product of consensus between all the parties.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Implications are for Canada and our own needs to secure the border against perhaps American influence?
Well, as you know, we are developing our own national security strategy, and that will be coming forth in the coming months. We put a lot of work into it. Of course, each country is going to have their own focus on priorities for them. I haven't had a chance to review it, the U.S. one yet, but I would say...
You haven't read it?
I haven't had a chance to fully go through it.
Have you been briefed on it?
I'm getting briefed on it, yes.
Today?
Not today, but I am getting briefed on it. As you know, we've been following what's happening, but certainly what's important, I think, is we have our own strategy, and that looks to Canada's national interest.
When is that coming? When is that national security strategy coming? It's been a long time waiting.
Well, look, we haven't had a national security strategy in 2.5 decades, so we have to put some work into it, and I think a lot of work has already gone in, and I believe in the new year we will see something.
Based on what you know and have been briefed already on, and what you may have read in terms of coverage of the U.S. strategy, what concerns does it raise in your mind?
Well, ultimately, I think it's about our own sovereignty and security, and the work that we need to do to continuously ensure that our borders are safe, that issues around irregular migration, issues around the Arctic, our sovereignty in the Arctic are protected, that our armed forces, as well as our security services, have the adequate resources to do their job in a way that Canadians expect, and to make sure that Canadians are safe and secure.
And not to be a pain in the ass, but I'm shocked that you haven't read that strategy yet. Why haven't you?
Well, I've looked at it. I'm like, look, this is a comprehensive strategy, and before I comment on it, I think it's important that I fully understand the implications, and I think it'll be irresponsible for me to comment without being fully briefed and fully understanding the many elements that are in the strategy right now.
On the pilot project in Cape Breton, what are the conclusions that you have on that?
Well, the conclusion is that logistically, from a systems perspective, it's working. We've had to make some minor adjustments to our technology, so we are confident that's working. We will be in a position to roll it out in the coming weeks. We're just waiting for a couple of items to be sorted out, but we will be launching it in the very near future.
So the process is working, but you didn't get a lot of people coming back. You didn't even reach your target. I don't think you have 10% of your target.
Well,
what does that tell you?
We will be sharing the information of the pilot with you in the coming days.
In coming days? Sorry, you said days? Days, not January, in the coming days.
The data around the pilot will be shared with you in the coming days.
When you talk about adjustments, what adjustments are you already making? You said you found adjustments, you want to make them. What are those?
Well, there were some technical glitches that we saw, and we've corrected that. We're testing that, and we are in a position to launch it nationally, and we will do so in the coming weeks.
Is it the third party collection that is the issue, or?
No, look, I think there is logistically there were some issues that we identified. They're not major issues, and we're working that through, and we are in a position to launch it in the coming days and weeks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Want to talk about the Major Projects Office and the decision to hire on Bay Street?
The Major Projects Office is a really important part of our strategy. Getting the best and brightest in Canada to work on delivering these projects is really important. People are deciding to work for less than they can make on Bay Street. They're giving back to the country. That's a good thing.
Is it appropriate, though, like the idea of secondment, I mean, you could have bank employees working on government files that involve their bank. There's a lot of ethical red flags there, maybe?
They deal with all the appropriate ethical reasons. I know when I worked at the Bank of Canada, I went through the same process 15 years ago. It was an honor to serve. I know these people are doing it because they love their country.
Have you thought about looking to the public sector first before you lay off, the government lays off so many employees?
We look for the skills. We're trying to bring in people who have built and know how to build. It's a particular skill set. We need to get the best and brightest for that particular role. That's something that the government hasn't done a lot of in the past. It's a really important role, and it's great that people are stepping up and serving their country.
When is the Indigenous Advisory Council going to get its terms of reference?
You need to ask Dawn on that. I know they're meeting on a regular basis. I know it's built right into every project that we look at, how Indigenous consultation is part of it. But that's really a question for Dawn. I'm not involved in the day-to-day on that part.
If they don't have the terms of reference, how can they actually do their job properly?
They're talking right now about how to do that. They're getting together. They're working on how do we make sure we use the best practices. I know from my time at Hydro One, it takes time to build to build the right practices and the right capabilities within an organization so you do the best job you can with First Nations.
I think, sorry, Minister, we've got to get you to go, but there was just one question earlier about coastal First Nations, so I just wanted to make sure you had a chance to answer that one.
Sure. I've got a standing offer to go and visit the coastal First Nations. What they have said is they'd like to meet the Prime Minister. That's going to be organized. As soon as they are ready to talk with me, I'm happy to go and meet the First Nations.
Thank you so much. Sorry, Minister, we've got to
Okay,
bring
thank
him
you.
forward.
Merry Christmas.
Do you have a date set?
Ask the advisor. Oh, again, what's going on with the task force, with the 30-day sprint? When are we going to get those results from your task force?
We're coding and translating those, so it's all done. I've met with the task force within 12 days. We also, as I said, developed an internal, safe, according to Treasury Board rule, AI to translate and summarize the 11,300 comments. So they are being coded and they'll be made public as soon as the French and they're coded and they'll be out.
But when did we get the results of the 30-day sprint of the experts?
In other words, when is the national strategy going to be out?
I don't know if those are the same thing, right?
Yeah, the purpose of the task force was to feed into the national strategy, which it will come out in the new year. So we're going over it right now.
When in the year?
Don't have an exact date yet, but if you can go through those doors, you can find out a better answer than I have. Okay, good to see you.
Sarah, what do you make of, like, is there a world where the Justice Committee just goes to bail, just as the Conservatives have been wanting?
Look, I'm not going to be in a position to direct the workings of the committee. Right now, they're in clause by clause at the final stages of considering Bill C-9. My hope is that parties will understand that in a democracy, we get to make decisions collectively, and that every member of the committee has been elected to represent the voice of their constituents. And my hope is they're going to get through clause by clause, but that's something that committee members are going to be able to determine.
Will you be disappointed if it doesn't get through the clause by clause by the time the House rises?
Well, look, it's not my disappointment. It's communities who've been asking for protections to freely practice their religion, who are concerned about facing hate crimes across this country. My concern is for the people that, frankly, were in our minds when we were drafting this bill, who were demanding that we take action to combat hate crimes. So it's not my personal feelings that matter in this context. It's people who are living with the real consequences of rising hate. I would be disappointed for them, not for my own sake.
All good?
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Minister.
Yeah. If I don't see you guys again, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.